All right, everybody, here we go. This is single subject designs. Let's see if we can get this to record. All right. Single subject experimental designs are designs where size is limited to one or a small number of participants. The participant is both the treatment and control group, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. And repeated measures are taken with and without treatment. The dependent variable is plotted on the y or the vertical axis, and the time is on the horizontal or the x-axis. So time's going to be at the bottom, whether it's treatment sessions, whether it's number of weeks, and then your dependent variable will be on the vertical y-axis. Okay. And usually people refer to single subject designs a lot of times with letters. So you can have an AB design, an ABA design, an ABAB design. So the A is the baseline. And so with an A-only designs are case studies. So here let's say you've got somebody who stutters and you're gonna note their stuttering and their feelings about their stuttering when they're at home, when they're at school, when they're at work, when they're in social situations. So you'll get all these different sort of recordings for baselines, but there's no treatment. You're just doing a case study about this is the person stuttering, this is how it impacts them, whatever. A B-only design is kind of what you do as a therapist, is just treatment. So you take the assessment at the beginning, it's just one time, and then you start treatment, and then you have one maybe assessment at the end, and maybe you're assessing all the way through, but you're treating the whole time. So that's going to be just B. So that's B only as a treatment design. And you can also have C. So let's say you do a baseline, you start treatment, but it's not working. You can then change the treatment you're doing. So you could start out with one kind of therapy and then do a different kind of therapy too. So you can have an ABC design and then ABCA design or something like that. So an A-only design is just a case study because you're not actually doing any intervention or therapy. A B-only design is where you're just doing treatment, okay? Neither of these are actually experimental. An AB design, where you have baseline and treatment, is better, but it's still not experimental. And let's talk why here. So, all right, here we've got A, we've got the baseline, right? So on the first day, right, this child, had maybe 7 disruptions in class. And then they had 6, and then they had 7, okay? So we kind of have a nice, consistent baseline. You want to always do at least 3 baseline measures, and then you start therapy. So in therapy, in this case, is just praising. So they praise the child for good behavior, and it immediately dropped down. So this is A, this is B, the treatment, right? But then that's it. So maybe, right, how do we know something else didn't happen here, right? That the kid's like, oh, I'm being watched, right? Someone's with me. So, first I'm still disrupting, but then I start being like, oh, someone's here with me, I'm going to start being good, right? Or whatever. And so you change, but it's not really because of the therapy, it's just because of maybe something else, or maybe something at home, right? That mom's like, oh my gosh, you've got your therapist there in class with you, and they're recording how you're doing. You better be really good tomorrow. So then all of a sudden they're good. It's not really the therapy. You still don't know, right? So it's not experimental. So you've got to have at least an ABA design for it to qualify as experimental. So you've got the baseline, you praise, right? Things, let's say, improve, and then there's no more praising for good behavior, and right, we're kind of right back up to where we started from, maybe a little bit improved because of, what's improving before. But you can see, okay, praising, he does a lot better when he's praised than when he's not being praised. So the praising by itself then, we know, is helpful. It wasn't just that the child started being good, right? It's that the praising is good. okay? The really powerful design is an ABAB design. So here we have baseline, intervention, baseline, and then intervention again, right? So, and the reason this is so powerful, and I use this example a lot, even though it's kind of a strange one, is that my daughter, who's now 4, when she was little, was having really bad diaper rash, like really severe diaper rash. And so we were thinking, well, maybe she's allergic to gluten. And so we took out gluten, and it kind of dropped a little bit, but it was still pretty high. So it's like, okay, it's, gluten is helpful, but maybe it's something else. And I started to think, well, maybe, she seems to be worse when we have eggs in the morning. So we started taking out gluten and eggs, and then there was no diaper rash, right? And so then I was like, but I really like eggs, right? And we eat eggs all the time. Why don't we, maybe that was just random. Let's try to give eggs again. And it's like, whoa. And we go right back to diaper rash again. And then I was like, okay, it's probably eggs. I take the eggs away, and boom, we're down to like no diaper rash again. And so, it really was the eggs, right? So we hear it gets up, it's down, it's up. Let's do it one more time. And then, wow, okay, we really know now. It really is the gluten and the eggs together. That's what is causing the diaper rash, okay? I hope that makes sense. Before beginning treatment, we want to establish reliability through multiple measurements, right? So if in that original baseline, if it was, all over the place, if that child who had before, right, he had like 7 disruptions, 6 disruptions, 7, what if it was 7 the first day, like 1 disruption the second day, 7 the third day? It's like, well, he's all over the place. So, right, we don't have good reliability. We don't have good stability, right? It's all over the place. How do you know that, then when you do therapy, if it's down, well, maybe that's just random too, because it's all over the place. So you want to have reliability and stability, nice and high, so that you have a good opportunity then for contrasting results. So you've got kind of high behaviors or something you want to change, and then it gives you an opportunity to really change things. Because if there's not much there to begin with, it's hard to show any kind of change anyway. It's best used with specific measurable behaviors, right? So this is very much a behavioral sort of way of looking at research and assessment. And baseline, again, should be stable before we start treatment. It's great because it can be done by working SLP, so that's a big positive here. You can answer specific questions about specific clients. So, right, it gives you can go really in-depth about, here's one client, and we're going to answer a question for that specific client, which is really positive, because in a group study, right, well, you get group averages, but then you don't know anything about, each individual client. And it also allows for flexibility in changing treatment. So if you're in a group design and you're getting therapy A, and even if therapy A is not working, you still have to continue in therapy A until the end of treatment, because everybody in that group gets therapy A, whether it's helping or not, until the end. Well, here, if it's something obviously not working, we can change with something else, and then that again will show really nicely that something's working or not. All right. We can also do multiple baseline across subjects. So you can get, right, effectiveness of intervention for changing the same behavior across a group of similar subjects, right? So if we, look at before where we had sort of the ABAB, well, imagine if we did that on 3 different kids and we all got the same graph on the 3 different kids, right? That would really show that this is helpful. It's not just helpful for one child. We did the same things with 3 people, the same kind of intervention. It was helpful for all 3. Right? It can be a really nice way to begin to show that a therapy works. And then we get multiple baseline across settings, right? Which is used to assess the effectiveness of intervention for changing behavior for many settings. So if we're talking about stuttering, right, maybe we don't, it's great if we drop percent syllable stuttered in the clinic, but are we also dropping percent syllable stuttered at home, at school, in social situations, on the phone, while reading, while, in conversation? So maybe we take 2 or 3 of those, and are we able to show, drops in all 3 or 4 of those areas, right? That's going to show true effectiveness, which is really positive, okay? And that is the end, and I really hope that reported.